Hey y'all, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to check out another one of my videos. And if you're new around here, hello and welcome. My name is Katie Marie and I'm a lover of eyeshadow palettes, and today we are going to be talking about a very new palette launch. It is the Coloured Raine Juicy Boost palette. I have been so excited for this launch. Ever since I saw the outside packaging, I've been excited to get my hands on it, and it's finally here and I have it in my hands officially. As you saw from the title, I have a bunch of looks to share with you guys, a total of 5 looks. It just turned out that I was able to do that many, so I have 5 looks for you guys, a review and swatches, and I'll get into all that as we go along. But I'm so excited to be finally sharing this video with you. I really tried hard to put it out as soon as I could, but before we get into that, I do want to touch a little bit on the palette. Just so you know, this palette that I got, they have 2 versions of the same exact palette. I picked the one that's long and flat, but they also have a more compact one that's exactly half it, and it's like a book. So if you can see right here, it opens up and there's 2 different levels. So if you don't have as much space, maybe you don't want something so big, you can go with half and just get a thicker palette. It retails for $52 both palettes, so it doesn't matter which one you get, they're both the same price. Some other things to note, I wanted to go over this real quick. They include a little pamphlet, which I thought was very informative. I bought this, I should have said it earlier, but I bought this myself, it's not PR, but I like that they included this for the consumer to have. It is vegan, cruelty-free, made in the USA. Both palettes are magnetic, so I can, if I get a little tool, pop these out and they'll pop right back in. I love that, so I can use it when I do fake palettes. I'm very excited about that. It is 23 grams total and has 3 high intensity reflect dazzlers is what they call them, and 15 ultra butter mattes. And if you guys are new around here, I love mattes. I love working with mattes, so anytime a palette has more mattes, especially colorful, than shimmer, I'm excited. They also do sell other things. It's almost like it has its own merch, I guess you could say, because they have an umbrella and a tumbler around the whole collection or the whole palette and the packaging style for it, which I thought was really cute. I almost bought the tumbler, but I resisted and overcame my temptation. If you're interested in my overall thoughts and opinions and kind of my summary of everything after using this palette and doing the tutorials, and also swatches, I'm going to do those after the tutorials. And I do want to say, if you're new around here, my tutorials are a little bit different. They're not just about like where I put the shadows, but as I go along with the tutorials, I give you guys my thoughts and opinions on each of the shadows I'm using. So if you want more of a breakdown and more in-depth opinions on the shadows like themselves, like each individual one, how I thought it performed, definitely stick around for the tutorial, because it gives more than just the tutorials, I guess what I'm saying. It's part of the review, and at the end I just kind of give an overall summary. With that said, I do want to also point out, I should have said this earlier, but 3 of the looks that I'm going to be doing are done on my younger sisters. They came over to stay with me for a few days, and since this came in, I was like, hey, do you want me to do your makeup? And that way I can put up more tutorials for you guys and give a more in-depth, thorough review, and they were all about it. So yeah, 3 of the looks are done on my sisters. I hope you guys will enjoy seeing them. I featured one of my younger sisters, Lydia, on my channel already, but my other 2 sisters I don't think I've shown on my channel yet, and they were really excited to get to be on my channel. So if you want to leave them a little comment down below, they did say that they watch my videos and read my comments, so I'm sure they would be over the moon if you left them a little comment down below, because they will be reading it. So yeah, with that said, let me go ahead and do my Instagram shout out for today. And today my Instagram shout out goes to Color Story Official. I talked about them in a recent Will I Buy It, and I was, you know, interacting with their posts and whatnot, leaving comments, and they actually came over and followed and then commented on this post. So thank you so much for interacting with my content. That really does mean a lot to me, and I really do appreciate it. And you are my Instagram shout out for today. And per usual, if you want a chance to be featured at the beginning of my videos for my Instagram shoutouts, all you have to be doing is following me on Instagram. I'm LadyKatie92. Interact with my content, and as you just saw, I randomly select someone when I sit down to film. So with that, we can jump right into the tutorials. Okay, starting off with a Ginger Bay, I'm putting that into the crease, and as you can see, I'm starting with a sticky base, so it was a little tough to get it to blend out, but not impossible. It definitely did get there. It just took a little bit of back and forth and building up. I think that was the most surprising. It took a little longer to build up than I expected. But moving on, I went into Orange Carrot, and I took it on a much smaller brush to build it in. And as you can see, I feel like on her other eye that I already did, it doesn't look too bad, but on this side when I was working with it, it really didn't want to diffuse in. That harsh line really didn't want to leave. As you're seeing, I'm spending a lot of time going back and forth, really trying to work on that, and I even changed it up and went back into the previous color to work on blending that out. But I feel like overall that eye just really didn't want to move too much. Like I said, the other eye kind of, you know, got there pretty easy, but this eye, for whatever reason, did not want to blend out. I feel like it was still a harsh line no matter how much I worked. So then moving on to Kale, yeah, I'm packing that in the outer corner, and this packed on beautifully. I thought it had a lot of really nice depth to it, had a lot of nice pigmentation to it. I do feel like it was a little bit tricky to actually work on blending that out, and you're going to see me spend a good amount of time here just working on getting that line, feathering it into the orange. Now keep in mind, orange to green is a pretty, you know, stark contrast, such a bright orange to a deep green, so I wasn't too surprised to have to work so hard, but it definitely was a little bit time consuming to work on that and get it to look how I wanted it to. For the lid color, I I went in with Blueberry Burst, and this is a really pretty color, very smooth. It reminds me of the typical kind of metallic formula from Coloured Raine, so I was really happy with how that went on. It blended in beautifully. It was very nicely pigmented, no sheerness. It was very easy to pick up with her brush. So overall, very happy with the shade, though I will say even using glitter glue underneath this, she had a ton of fallout, and even after I cleaned up her face and finished the rest of her face, I still saw fallout underneath her eyes. So something to note, these Coloured Raine, all of them, all of the shimmers in this palette have crazy fallout no matter what you do. So from here, I am just kind of cleaning it up around the edges, really working on blending and diffusing it out, and just making sure I like how it looks. That crease with it being a little harsh, I definitely went back in a couple times to try and perfect that. But moving on to the lower lash line, I'm just taking a little bit more of Kill. Yeah, I didn't do too much with the lower lash line with my sisters because I didn't want to make their eyes too, you know, smoked out and dark. I wanted to keep it pretty light and airy on the lower lash line, so I'm just taking that a teensy bit there and then diffusing that green out with Turmeric Shot. And I will say I definitely saw wear down on her lower lash line throughout the day. By the end of the night, the color was almost gone. Moving on to her inner corner, I took a little bit of Lemon Wheatgrass, and as you can see, like, it's sparkling, it's shimmery, but it's kind of hard to see, but I worked at it, I built it up, and then I even took a little bit of that coconut water and popped that on there because I wanted the white to really give it a bit of brightness, and then went back in with Lemon Wheatgrass, and I feel like I like that the best. Like, Lemon Wheatgrass really needed a white base to make it pop. And yeah, that's the completed look. That was the first time she saw the look when she was all done, and yeah, that is the completed look. I really like how it turned out. I really love the warm, grungy crease with that mix of blue on the lid. As I said, the blue is absolutely stunning, but it definitely, with all three of these shadows, some more severe than the others, but they all have a good bit of fallout no matter if I use glitter glue or not. All right, moving on to my next sister. This is Tori. My other sister that I just did, I should have said, is Lydia, but this is Tori, and I'm going into Mint Leaves, and I'm using a really tiny brush because she has tiny little eyes compared to mine, and I'm blending this into the inner half of her crease. And this shade went on pretty well. As you can see, I still feel like it's stuck a little bit, and I really had to work to kind of blend it out. Even dipped into Cucumber Avocado, the lighter green, a little bit, and to try to help with diffusing that shade out. Then for the rest of the crease and the outer corner, I went into Energy Boost and first packed it on the outer corner and then used it to kind of push up and into the crease. This shade I really do like. I feel like it's a gorgeous shade. It's nicely pigmented. It's fairly easy to use. I do feel like it's a bit deeper on the eyes than you would expect just looking at it in the pan. For the lid, we went in with Sweet Ruby, and as you can see, I tried putting it on with a brush and that really didn't work, so then I tried tapping it over with my finger. I'm going back and forth, and definitely I think your finger is best. I pick it up with my finger from the pan and then kind of swirl it on my hand to get some of the flaky bits off and then press that onto the eyeshadow, and that was the best way I could get it onto her lid without a ton of fallout and also it not being streaky and just clumpy. This is a very weird shade. It's really, really pretty, there's no denying, but I do not like the texture, and the fallout from this shadow is insane. But anyway, just touching up the rest of her eye look and do my best to really blend out that hot pink shade. Another thing with this formula, specifically the hot pink one, is it just doesn't want to blend. Like, it sticks in one spot and it just doesn't want to move, so it was very hard to get this to effortlessly blend into the matte. So you're gonna see me work on it for a good bit, and then I just showed her what it looks like, and that was her reaction. I think she liked it. But moving on, we were taking a little bit of Energy Boost on her lower lash line, and then I'm gonna follow that up with Mint Leaves. And as you can tell, again, her lower lash line doesn't have any primer, but I feel like when I took the green over the blue, it almost dusted away and made the blue disappear altogether, which I thought was very interesting. For her inner corner, I'm just taking that white coconut water and I'm packing it on. As you can see, this is a gorgeous, really bright white. I really do like it. But yeah, that's going to be the final look, and here is what it looks like. As I said, that pink is really, really pretty, very vibrant, very pretty, but it's just a pain to work with. The pink is very beautiful. It looks stunning on the eyes, but it just has so much fallout, even with glitter glue, and it's such a pain to use. I really didn't like it. It was my least favorite from the palette. Alright, moving on to my next sister. This is Sophia. I am starting out with a little bit of pink grapefruit in her crease that, as you can see, you really can't see. Like, it's just such a faint color. Moving on, I decided to try to use Watermelon Detox to deepen it up, and looking at it in the pan, this looks like such a hot pink, but as you can see when I use it on the eyes, it doesn't come off so vibrant. It's definitely a pigmented color and bright, but not as neon-ish as it looks in the pan. And as you can see, once again, it kind of applied and then didn't really want to blend out. So I took a good bit of time working with it and trying to get it to look more seamlessly blended out. And for the outer corner, I decided to take Strawberry, and I really wanted to deepen up her outer corner with a really deep red, so I packed this on and then tried to blend it up. And as I worked, initially I liked how it looked, but the more I worked with it and trying to blend out that really deep apple strawberry color, the more I felt like it softened up and just didn't want to build on top of each other. It was a very sheer, thin color, so not my favorite. Definitely one of the duds from this palette where the mattes are concerned. But anyway, moving on, I'm taking that lemon wheatgrass and I'm packing that all over a lid. This one is a little sheer, but if you really take your time to pack it on, it will apply pretty thickly and not look too transparent. So I was really happy to see that it wasn't that kind of sheer wash of color topper lid shade. And then just to finish off the look, I decided to take a little bit of Sweet Ruby and pop that on the center of her lid and help that mesh it into the red shade. For the lower lash line, I wanted to go green with her to kind of do like a watermelon, so I took a little bit of Kale Ya and then I blended that out with mint leaves. And again, I feel like that mint leaves shadow, while it's very pretty, it just kind of looked watered down and washed out, and then when I went over the Kale Ya, it just wasn't as intense as I wanted. But for the inner corner for this look, I decided to take this Noon palette from Midas Cosmetics and I took the highlight shade to highlight her inner corner. I know it doesn't look too intense here, but it actually was a really intense highlight, and overall I liked it for this look. I really think it is really beautiful and reflective. But yeah, that is a completed look. So here is the final look. I know I missed a little spot on her eyeliner. Totally missed it in the moment, but now that I'm editing the footage back, I see a little bare spot, so that is my fault. But I really like how this turned out. Just overall, I wish there was more dimension and differentiation between all the pinks. I just feel like it's a little bit blurred together. Alright, moving on to the first time I put the palette on my eyes, I'm starting with Watermelon Detox. And again, while this shade is really pretty and I was very happy with how it was applying to my eyes, I just feel like it's a lot deeper and a different shade of color than I expect looking at it from the palette. To try to help with that blend, I took a little bit of Pink Grapefruit, and I feel like it helped a little bit, but again, Pink Grapefruit is such a pale, very light shade that I don't know that it did much. Just didn't seem to help too much. But anyway, moving on, I took Energy Boost and I'm applying that on my outer corner. I tried to start with a detail brush, but it didn't really seem to want to move, so I took a fluffier brush and kind of went slow and built up with that fluffier brush, and I feel like that was the way to go. With the pointed brush, it just wanted to stay in that one spot. So anyway, I'm just working on it to make sure it's nicely blended out how I like it. Then I just took a little bit of Citrus Ginger, I think is what it's called, to kind of highlight my brow bone and set it, and then just blend that blue out a little bit more. And then I went in with Kale Ya and packed that on my outer corner to really get the depth, because I feel like in this palette, Kale Ya is really the only shade you can turn to if you want to really deepen and smoke out an outer corner, because the red and the brown, you're going to see in a minute, but it just doesn't give all that much depth. But anyway, from there I just went ahead and cut out my crease so that I could apply the next shade, which was Cucumber Avocado, and I just packed it on with a really dense brush, and I did it on like the inner third of my eye. And as you can see, like, I see green, but it's a very light, very pale green. So I went in with mint leaves and I decided to put that on the rest of it, just to, because I really wanted this to be like a very bright, almost pastel kind of green on my lid, and the Cucumber Avocado was just so pale you could barely see it. So the mint leaves really helped bring the vibrancy to the pale pastel green that I was looking for. But anyway, from here on out, I just took all the brushes once again and went over all the areas to make sure I liked how it was blended out. And then moving on to the lower lash line, I'm taking Energy Boost and smoking that out on my lower lash line and connecting it back. And then I'm going to go in with Cranberry Vanilla and just popping that on the inner half of my lower lash line just to get another color, see how it goes. I mean, the color is nice, but this shade just seemed a little sheer, I guess is a way I can say it. Just didn't seem that intense, pigmented, and buttery smooth. Then to finish out the look, from my inner corner, I'm taking coconut water and just packing that on. I think this is one of the most pigmented whites that I owned. I really do like this shade. It is very, very beautiful. And then just to complete the look, I took some glitter. This is from JD Glow Cosmetics, and I put that into the crease because you guys know I love a glitter crease with an all matte look. And that is the completed look. Wear time for this all matte look, it was absolutely perfection. I thought it lasted beautifully all day. No wear down, no creasing, no fading. Very, very impressed with the wear time for the mattes. Okay, moving on to the next look. This one is going to be a dud. I don't end up finishing it, but I did want to show you guys just for educational purposes. And I take Energy Boost and I'm putting that on the outer corner, just packing it on. I wanted to see if using these shadows in a more packing motion instead of buffing and blending them out would help them work better. So I'm taking Energy Boost and doing the same thing. I'm pressing and packing much more than fluffing and blending, which is what I usually do in the crease. And then after I kind of have the color where I wanted to try to blend out the edges with a lighter color to see if that would help. So anyway, I'm taking Pink Grapefruit on that pink side and using it to buff and blend it out. And as you can see, Pink Grapefruit is so pale, but this shade, Berry Beet, really didn't want to move, like a little bit, but it really didn't want to buff out and blend. And then for the blue side, I took a little bit of Cucumber Avocado and tried to diffuse and buff and blend that out to soften it. But again, really didn't want to move. So after playing with this back and forth for a little bit, I'm going to zoom in here in a minute, but I didn't like where it was going, and I felt like it was a little repetitive color-wise and like putting the colors together as previous looks that I did. So I decided to just totally scrap it and start over. But as you can see, like the lines are just really harsh, harsher than I wanted them to be, and I couldn't get them to soften up. So testing out my theory to see if packing them on makes them perform better, definite no, they performed a whole lot worse. So starting over, I'm taking Ginger Bay and I'm putting that into my crease, buffing it out with a nice fluffy blending brush and using that as my base color before going on with my deeper color. I feel like the way to go with this palette is to start light and build up to the deepest shade. And for the next shade, I'm taking Turmeric Shot and just putting that right into my crease and working on buffing and blending it out. Again, like pigmentation wise, I feel like this looks and shows up pretty easily, but once it comes to buffing and blending it out and trying to get a nice diffused ombre from the colors, you know, into the crease, I feel like that's where I have to work really hard with these shades in particular to get them to blend out. They just kind of want to stick where you place them or where you put them down the heaviest, and they don't really want to move. For the outer corner, I want to try that brown, and it's Sweet Potato Mango, and I'm packing this on the outer corner. And as you can see, while it is a deeper brown, it's not that deep, so something to keep in mind. But once I put that on, I went ahead and took a little bit of Orange Carrot, and I want to put that on the center and blend it into the outer corner color. And as you can see, like it definitely, you know, applies well. It's very pigmented, but when it came to blending those two shades on the outer corner together, I personally wasn't very happy with the blend. I felt like it looked a little stark. But anyway, moving on, I'm taking Lemon Wheatgrass and I'm applying that on my lid. And this, once again, this is a shade that's very pretty. I was very happy with it. Even with glitter glue though, it'll give me fallout throughout the day, which isn't my favorite. But overall, this is a very beautiful shade. I really can't fault it. And I can appreciate that while it's a lighter kind of goldeny color, they did give it intense metallics, but also intense pigmentation. So it's not one of those topper shades, which aren't my favorite personally. And from there, I'm just gonna go back over with a little bit of Orange Carrot and try to soften out where the metallics end. The metallic didn't really want to blend too much. Like I feel like wherever I put the Orange Carrot, it just kind of stuck there, as you can see. Like it didn't really want to buff and blend. I can't really tell if that's the matte's fault or the shimmer's fault, but definitely something I noticed. I wasn't fully happy with how that look turned out. But from here on out, I just kind of playing around until I like it. And then after I finish my face, moving to my lower lash line, where I took Sweet Potato Mango and smoked that right against my lower lash line and, you know, connected it back to my outer corner. And then I'm taking a little bit of Turmeric Shot just to soften up the brown and smoke and blend it all out. And then for the inner corner for this look, I'm once again taking that Noom palette from Midas Cosmetics. I'm using that as my inner corner. It's a gorgeous inner corner highlight. I really do like how it looks. And that is going to be the completed look. Overall, I really like how this look turned out. I feel like this is kind of my comfort zone and my preference when it comes to a neutral look. Like it's very bright and beautiful, but overall, like the final look is gorgeous, but just getting there was a bit of a journey, and maybe I wasn't totally happy with every step of the way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so those are all the tutorials. Let me know down below which look, which color combination was your favorite, because each one I created, I really did like the color combination, and I really did like the overall look. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. Today's look, again, more neutral because I was wanting to play with the neutrals, but I think it's absolutely stunning and definitely my type of neutral. So let me know which one, if you had to pick a favorite, which one you could pick, because I can't pick a favorite. With that said, I do want to touch on the shipment issue with Coloured Raine. I don't want to spend too long because it's not that big a deal, but Coloured Raine did do a pre-launch in that like the day before this went live, for everyone to be able to get it. They did send it out to like the people who are signed up with an account for them to get it early. They had an early access, so that's what I used. And I want to say I bought it within an hour of that access code being, you know, sent out. So it was fairly soon. But for me personally, this didn't ship till a week later. And I have heard from other people who have bought it on the day of launch that it still hasn't shipped yet. And I don't know, for me, that seems very, very slow. I feel like, especially when you get on launch day and if you're one of the first few people, like it tends to ship out fairly quickly for a lot of brands, especially, you know, even indie brands. In general, I feel like on launch day, they try to get it out quickly. And for me to have gotten it like before the general public and almost as soon as the email went out, I was very shocked that it took over a week to get here. So I feel like in that part, Coloured Raine kind of dropped the ball and not being ready to ship out, or maybe they just got so many and weren't prepared. I don't know, I just was very surprised by how long this took to ship because I was waiting. Moving on to the palette and the formula itself, I do want to touch on, as I already have, the shimmers, they're okay. They're not my favorite. The pink is definitely just, I'm gonna use it one more time, you know, before doing my official review in my Palette Palooza, but it's just not my favorite. As you guys saw, I struggled with it in the tutorials. The blue is actually my favorite. I feel like is the same in the Coloured Raine and the Queen of Hearts, and maybe even the gold, but the pink is definitely a different formula. But, you know, with only 3 of them being in the palette, I'm not too mad at that. Moving on to the mattes, there were a few, as I've already said, that are just very sheer, and I just feel like, especially since I'm fairly light, I feel like if you go much deeper than me, you're gonna have issues, especially as you get deeper than my skin tone, because I had issues getting these to show up, and I'm very light, like I said. I will say though, with that Coconut Noir, the white is like so intense. I only ever used it on my inner corner highlight, so I don't know how well it blends out, but just like packing it on, it does pack a punch. I did not try this on a set base, which, why didn't I try this on a set base when I was doing so many looks? I don't know, it's just, I definitely wasn't thinking, and as I was sitting down to film and, you know, writing out my points that I wanted to make on this video, I realized I didn't do that, and I was like, wow, Katie, that would have been a really good point to make and really good thing to try. So I don't know if this will work better on a set base. I will definitely be trying it, and I don't think I've said it yet, but I'll be reviewing this in about 2-ish weeks in my Palette Paloozas for August, so definitely stay tuned if you want a more thorough, well-rounded review in using this throughout the day and get more like of a wear test and just more use with this. But since I didn't try that today, I am so sorry. All of the looks that I did were on a tacky base. So yeah, overall, I think you can definitely get pretty looks with this. I feel like all the looks that I got at the end when, you know, my sisters left the table, when I was done with my looks, I feel like overall I liked the looks. Some of them, like the blondes weren't my favorite, but they were fine. So I feel like the looks you can get out of this, I think are beautiful. You can definitely get good looks with it, but I think the effort you have to take and the, you know, carefulness you have to be with some of these lighter tones might outweigh the value of this palette and like getting this palette, because I feel like if you take out the lighter tones, left with the deeper tones, I don't know, it's just maybe not as worth it. I know paying $52 for the effort that I have to go through for the trickiness with, you know, some of the deeper tones taking a little bit of work to blend in, or even some of the lighter tones just not wanting to blend out and buff out, I kind of regret the $52. I feel like if I had gotten this on sale, I wouldn't be so upset about it, because it's like, ah, you know, you got it on sale. It's a beautiful palette. I love the packaging. I still don't regret that at all. So I feel like on sale, maybe I would be a lot more, oh, okay, it's, you know, it's not the best formula, but it's fine. But at full price, I have slight regrets. So yeah, that pretty much sums up my review. I feel like if you're expecting the formula, you're going into this of the like Safari Raine or the Queen of Hearts palette, I feel like you'd be a little bit disappointed, because I just remember having an easier time at blending those shadows and creating effortless looks than with this. With the Coloured Raine and even the Queen of Hearts, so it's been a while since I've tried the Queen of Hearts, but I feel like I could recommend these to anyone and they would have an easy time with it. This palette, not so much. And with saying that, I'm not sure if maybe Coloured Raine just has drier formula when it comes to their colorful eyeshadows, because I know they have a Vivid Brights, and I feel like I remember a couple people saying that they were tricky to work with and tricky to blend out. So I would love to see someone who does have the Vivid Brights review this and to hear their thoughts on it, because maybe, like I said, that's just Coloured Raine's formula when it comes to their brights. But this is my first experience with Coloured Raine's more pigmented, or not more pigmented, more colorful formula, because the only other two I have are these, and they're fairly, you know, neutral. But overall, I enjoy all the looks that I got. I think it's beautiful. I love having this colorful palette. But is it a formula that I immediately think of like, oh yes, that's the easiest, most blendable formula I've ever tried when it comes to color? No. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this review. I hope it was helpful for you guys as always. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as I already said, I'm going to be reviewing this in about 2 weeks, and I'll have more looks to show you guys that I did, and more of a well-rounded, you know, review and opinions on the wear time, because I did do this in like within 1 day, so I really only have 1 day of wear time, but I have more thoughts and opinions. So if you want to stick around for that, you can subscribe. And as I said, it'll be coming in about 2-ish weeks or so with my Palette Palooza, and you can see how it ranks with all the palettes I tried this month, because I have tried a lot, and just to hear more of my experiences using the palette. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. If you picked this up, how is it working for you? Are you going to get it after watching this review? Were the tutorials helpful for you guys? Did you enjoy seeing so many? I did not expect to do 5, but did you enjoy? Was it helpful to see so many tutorials in a video like this? And yeah, just give it a like if you did enjoy this. I am trying to get this video up as soon as possible, and I know I'm not going to sleep much until this goes up, so if you could give it a like, if you want to share it, that would be amazing and make all my effort just a little bit more worth it. But yeah, above all, just hit the thumbs up button. Don't share it if you don't want to, but hit the thumbs up button on your way out, as it does help me in the whole YouTube algorithm. And if you want to continue getting daily content from me, I post on my Instagram about every day. I'm Lady Katie 92 over there. And with all that said, I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye guys.